As the album release wheel slows to a crawl as the year's winding down, we get a fairly short episode, yeah, but man, this is a bonkers set of albums to all be awkwardly sitting in the same room. Strap in, it's getting weird. This is Albumpressions. After a few electronic projects that didn't really do a ton for me, the jazz prog heroes are back in full force, and yeah, wow, unsurprisingly it turned out super cool. Their style of jagged, often abrasive math and prog rock led by bass and saxophone is something I'm always on the market for. And this release is a tighter, more aggressive take on their sound. Shorter tunes that, for the most part, lacked languid grooves and cram in 8 minutes worth of ideas into around 3 to 5 minutes, which can make it a bit less accessible and a lot harder to really get into, but it's also a dazzling spiral of sounds that I can't help but love regardless. So like, yeah, whatever, man. The tighter runtime also helps keep it from getting exhausting, although maybe a bit more wouldn't have hurt, but that's nitpicking. It's the same polymath I love operating at peak efficiency, and I'm sure I'm gonna be spinning it a ton as the year draws to a close. Sometimes an album comes along and just straight up tells you what it is and there's nothing you can do about it. Skythala have put together nearly an hour of dissonant, symphonic, avant-garde black and death metal that wants to sprawl, go off in its own weird tangents or linger on ideas for just a bit too long, and you're just gonna have to deal with that, pal. Like, yeah, it can be way too much, especially since it rarely ever lets up. Yes, it can be tedious in spots. Yes, it can kind of blend together, but on the other hand, well, it keeps you on your toes for sure, and the band actually puts together like riffs, melodies, motifs, something other than non-stop barrages of down-tuned jugging guitars or crushingly loud blast beats. There's a lot of similarly avant-garde death metal that does nothing for me, specifically because it devolves into nothing but that kind of slop, but this actually has meat on its bones. Helps that one of the band members is from Primeval Well, winner of my metal album of the year from last year, and yeah, definitely hear the overlap. Not for everyone, but damn compelling regardless.
Oh, do you really wanna go to heaven? Can we get this rapture started? Do you wanna go to hell, children, with dreamy eyes?
A notable departure from their last album, this one has, well, a more polished neo-traditional sound, less folky and Americana tones, though they are still here. I do feel this album doesn't sound as warm, but that may be on purpose, as there's a broad feeling of, well, painting a picture of the bleakness of modern rural America, where bills can barely get paid, and not without selling off precious keepsakes or listening to the murderous military machine at the cost of your own soul, where drug abuse runs rampant, unchecked by the larger government who doesn't give a damn, and the local government's overrun by all-talk, no-action capitalists who are only there to line their own pockets, where its people see the world changing around their insulated bubbles of culture, unwilling to meet it in the middle, so they fade into the passage of time. There's no outright condemnation of what are ostensibly the kind of people who would absolutely hate someone as queer as Adeem, but no admiration either. The general lack of a personal focus means this doesn't resonate much with me, admittedly, but I do respect what it's going for, and it's still damn good stuff. In lieu of a lyric sheet, I'm just gonna start out by saying that this is a progressive, atmospheric black metal album that literally survived the fire, made almost entirely by a trans, queer, anti-fascist woman. If that isn't the sales pitch of the year, I don't know what is. I do know, however, that this is pretty damn good, even beyond all that context. Rather labyrinthine and not very straightforward, even often penetrable, but the compositions toe the line between ugliness and beauty almost like they've trained for it their whole life, and the guitar textures and tones on display are just utterly phenomenal. It sounds damn good. At least, when the kind of messy cymbals aren't crowding the mix, but it's rare they do. Even beyond the texture, there's a lot of strong riffing here and symphonic elements infused to give slower moments a more dramatic flair. It's certainly not an album you're going to fully get on first listen, or second, or fifth, let's be real, but damned if it doesn't at least leave an impression on both sound and the story behind it. I'm conflicted. Like, okay, first up, yes, this is straight up theater kid core. I'm a Deer Hunter and Paper Chase fan, I can handle that. This doesn't really have the post-hardcore edges of either of those acts, it feels more like a musical than anything, but the songs and hooks are there, the tunes are solidly diverse, though it can run together a bit, and not just the leitmotifs intentionally suggesting circular movement. I like the sound fine enough, but I'm more conflicted on the lyrics, because I get the sense that Willwood is trying to debunk the concept of normalcy, and how none of us are truly normal in any real sense without a complete sacrifice of our personality, of what makes us, us, and there's some queer subtext in a song or two here, but nothing ever feels like it reaches a conclusion. Songs constantly contradict each other or outright mock the idea of having a point, and then it just ends with an unrelated song about death. Doesn't hit the same as a Paper Chase song, man. It's interesting, and I get the appeal, but I'm not quite sure it's for me. And that's what we'll call it for this month, and for this year. I'm way more caught up than usual, so hopefully I'll be able to, actually get my albums list out at a less unreasonable time this time around. Maybe March? That's still not super reasonable, but whatever, who cares? I got other things to do. I'll see y'all later, bye.